Hello, Dennis. How are you today?
I'm great, Lindsay. Thanks for having me on. I'm really
Yes,
good
yes.
today.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. It's great to see you again. So, we've got Dennis Schooley here, and as you know, I've got a couple questions for you.
hmm
So, how about we just start off by you telling me what has inspired you to start your own business and become a cost reduction consultant? And then we'll go from there.
Well, I mean, it's really that I guess I came to a realization running my own business that we were spending more than we should be spending on a lot of these costs that we look at Schooley Mitchell. A lot of businesses will concentrate a lot on their revenue and their direct costs, steel and payroll, things like that. But it became clear to me that a lot of these other costs that are below that gross margin line, those ones causing death by a thousand cuts, are really affecting the bottom line just as much as the direct costs are for companies. So really, when we started looking at it properly and then applying it to our clients, we realized we had something that could really help um, other businesses, and that's kind of what inspired me to go ahead and get into this business. And we've created special tools and processes to be able to deliver great results to our clients, and
Mhm.
that's satisfying. But that's really how it started and why it started.
Oh, cool. And so what is your passion related to operating the business? Like, are there things that you love about what you do?
Yeah, that's a good word actually. It's sort of a love-hate thing. I absolutely love the fact that we can help a business be more profitable, have more money to spend on the things they need to spend it on, and I love seeing their faces and all that kind of thing when we bring back results. Now, I hate when vendors overcharge our clients, or there's errors in their bills, or they creep the price up by just a little bit so nobody notices, and at the end of a year, it's a lot. I hate that part. So
Mhm.
really, I suppose that's the passionate part about it, is discovering these opportunities to help our clients be more profitable.
Yeah, for sure. So how do your skills and the things you have learned throughout your past career help you deliver value to your clients in Schooley Mitchell?
Well, again, I guess it's more of a realization when I saw how clients were performing, businesses were performing, include our own, and realize that there's a lot of things that are complicated, that are really things you can't spend a lot of time looking at because you got more important things, and yet they're causing that bleeding, they're causing that money to go down the drain. And it was
Mhm.
more a realization that we could help with that sort of thing by doing what we do. And that's kind of what got me into the fact that operating costs below that gross margin line are the things that are going to create profit for the client. And that's really how it started, and why I do it, and why I love doing it.
Yeah, so this kind of ties into my next question here. So what would be the most rewarding part of helping your clients just in a general sense?
Yeah, I guess it's their reaction sometimes. A lot
Yeah.
of clients would bring us in just sort of as insurance to make sure they weren't paying more, but they really didn't have much in the way of expectation in terms of what we were going to find or what we're going to be able to save them. But when we come back with our reports, and we showed them we recovered some errors, and we showed them we were able to reduce some services they didn't really even need. And then we
Mhm.
showed them how we got better prices for the things they thought really they couldn't get better prices on. That's a pretty cool thing when we realize that that reaction is, kind of elation. Um,
Mhm.
and so, we're affecting their profit just as much as them increasing their sales by significant dollars. So that's kind of the cool thing. That's the rewarding part that happens in this business.
Yeah, I'm sure for some people it's life changing. So that would feel really good knowing that you're helping them in that sense in their business. Um,
It really can be. It's found
mhm.
money, and that's really what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's always definitely always a good thing to find money so that they can, like you said, use it for other things in their business
Well,
too.
I actually use an example. You go in your closet and you haven't worn that jacket for, 6 months, and you find a $20 bill in the pocket. Doesn't that feel good? That's
It
kind of what we do
really,
for our clients.
yeah, that's a good day right there.
Yep.
So when working with your clients, like what is your process for prioritizing their needs to maximize results and then minimize client resources required?
Yeah, that's another really good question. I mean, we look at 18 different expense categories right now, and that's growing. We have a research department to, open up new opportunities to save clients even more money. But really what we want to make sure we do is we don't assume what's the
Hmm.
most important thing to that client. It comes down to asking questions and finding out what their priority what is, and maybe starting with that most important expense or two, rather than trying to do 18 expenses all at one time. We need to understand what's affecting their bottom line the most, what's causing them the most pain, and that only comes through asking the right questions. And we call it define the project, actually. So we're trying to determine, should we start with this one or two, then we start with another one or two a month later, and et cetera, like that. And so defining that project really comes from interacting with the client, asking the right questions, not making assumptions, and having some empathy. I always
Hmm.
say to people, empathy is more important than wisdom. You may think you know what everything you should, and that you can give great advice, but you need to understand and feel where they are. And that's sort of the process that we try to go through before we start our specific consulting engagement with them. So it's really about determining what's going to create long-term profitability, not always instant gratification, but more
Hmm.
long-term profitability for that client. Identify that and then focus on that first.
Yeah, definitely listening and communicating. Two
100%.
very big important things for sure.
100%. Yep.
So how about, I mean, if you don't mind just sharing a story of a particular client where you were able to provide a great solution for them, and then, what did they do with the extra money that you found?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I mean, we've got lots of stories for sure.
Hmm.
One in particular was a senior care business with multiple locations, and the CFO William had us come in. He was feeling that their waste costs were higher than they should be. He didn't really know. He didn't really have his knuckles right in it, and it wasn't keeping him up all night. It was just nagging at him. And
Yeah.
so he talked to me about it and asked me to come in and take a look. And so he had managers throughout the businesses that were managing the waste, but also a lot of other costs that were in the operations and things like that. So we were able to work with them and gather the right information. And when we brought back the results after, working on all those different locations with the vendors and with the clients, it was a six-figure result for them. And they were
Wow.
really elated that we were able to find that money, had no expectation of that. And, that's really just been able to help them with stability because there's another, like I said, six figures in their bank account instead of a bunch of vendors that shouldn't have had it. So that's
Yeah.
kind of a cool story. And they liked it so much, actually, they're having us look at another cost category or two now. And so the lesson is, to look at these things, it's probably not fiscally responsible to spend all your time looking at it yourself because the returns
Mhm.
aren't high enough in any one category. But to have someone like us come in where there's no budget required because we don't charge money to do what we do. We only share in the
Yeah.
results. So they
Mhm.
were able to do that, and I think they're really pleased with the results. So that's one story I can pass on to you.
Yeah. And that's gotta feel good for him too, knowing that he had that feeling. And then, you guys were able to verify that.
Yeah,
And
I suppose related to that, Lindsay, if we hadn't found savings, we still would have taken that nagging feeling away because then he would have known
yep,
he wasn't paying more than he should. So there's value in that. I mean, it's very
yeah,
rarely we don't find savings, but if that happens, that's still good value to our client because then they know they're not screwing things up, really.
yep, exactly. Well, yeah, no, I didn't think of it that way either. So yeah, great point for sure. So do you have any clients where they were surprised when you were able to help them? And I guess if so, how did that all unfold?
Oh, for sure we did. And I think I even mentioned a little earlier, a lot of clients will bring us in without really any expectation. They just want us to provide insurance that they're not paying more than they should and there's no errors in their bills and those kinds of things. So, but I'll tell you, we've got dozens, hundreds even of clients where they didn't expect us to find anything at all. In fact, is they might have even made that statement to us, you're not going to find anything here, but go
Right.
ahead, look. I know there's no fee to have you look. And then when we come back with savings that are significant, they're surprised and shocked and usually very happy face is really
Yeah.
rewarding for us to do that. So yeah, we've got great stories like that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I bet tons. So do you have any other client stories that you find interesting or rewarding? Like you said
Well,
that there's a lot, but any in particular that stick out the most
yeah, I
at
could probably
right now?
talk to you for like 12 hours about stories, but there's a
Oh, I
few. I
know.
mean, we had one charity, for example, where we saved them over $250,000 on their waste and their telecom. Now,
Wow.
just think about that. That charity now has all that money to provide better services to their constituents and that to their programs, which is what they live and breathe for. And it's very difficult for those charities to raise more money, to apply for more grants and stuff like that. So when we provide money to their same purposes, that's really rewarding. I mean, that's one that comes to mind. There was actually one where this is kind of strange, but it was also a nonprofit. And at the end of the presentation, the lady was so happy, the client was so happy with what we found, came around the desk and gave me a hug. I'd never had a client hug me before, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Had
that's gotta
another
feel
small
nice.
manufacturer that it was during sort of an economic downturn that we went in and looked at their stuff, and they had always had a Christmas party for their staff, but this particular year, he had said to me they weren't going to be able to have the Christmas party, except the money that we found for them allowed them to do that. So that's pretty rewarding to know that we've affected businesses like this. So those are just some sort of mini stories that relate to that. I mean, others they've bought software they needed with the money because
Mhm.
they just couldn't get to the budget to get that. All kinds of stories like that we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, yeah, no, those are all really great stories, and yes, I'm sure you do have a whole bunch, and I would
I
love
do.
to take 12 hours, but
Do
maybe
you
not.
think anybody would listen to a podcast for 12 hours? We maybe better shouldn't do that, right?
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We
We'll
won't do
chop
that.
it up into a bunch of pieces.
Okay.
So kind of on the other side of things, I mean, what are the most common misconceptions clients might have about your services, and then how would you go about addressing that?
Yeah, I guess the first one would be they feel it's going to cost them a lot of their time. And everybody's time poor today. We all know that. And
Mhm,
that's really one of our messages is that that's an assumption the client makes and it's really not true. We need 20 or 30 minutes to sort of explain what we're going to do for them and then maybe another 20 or 30 minutes for each cost category. And that's why we'll only do one or two at a time so we don't have to use their time. We just have to gather their records and get a few questions answered and get authorized to talk to their vendors. So really their assumption that it's a lot of time is one of the hurdles we have to get over because it's really not a lot of time. Um, some people might feel that we're going to upset the apple cart with their vendors because they feel they've got a good vendor relationship already. And
mhm.
that we don't do that either. We work with their vendors. Fact is, 80% of our solutions are with the same vendors they've already got. We're just
Oh,
finding
wow.
better ways with those vendors to do what they need to have done. And so we're not upsetting that apple cart. Now, if they want to change vendors, they can do that. But 80% of the time, we're not changing vendors at all. So we're just building better and stronger relationships because we provide better information to the client and to the vendor. That's sort of part of our process. And I suppose another one I could mention is oftentimes people feel it's too good to be true. What we're
Mhm.
saying to
Yeah,
them, our basic message is, look, we know you're spending more than you should on this,
yeah,
this, and that. Can we have a shot to get you some money back? There's no fee from us. We're just going to share in the savings. And to some people, that just okay. What's the catch here? There's got to be something wrong here. And I guess the way we explain that is that we're willing to provide the insurance, so to speak, to that client that if we don't find anything, we're not going to charge anything. The reason we're willing to offer that insurance is because we know over the suite of all of our clients, we're going to find savings and we're going to share in those savings. And that's going to be a business we can run properly for ourselves. But
yeah.
we're certainly willing to give that insurance to any one individual client in case we don't find something. So they're never going to be out of pocket. And that's
Mhm.
really, I guess, those are the main things that a client would have concerns with.
Yeah, and that's great that you have even examples to provide them with to kind of eliminate those thoughts anyway too. So,
We do. We do. We've been
yeah.
doing this for a while. We've helped thousands and thousands of clients over
Yeah,
time, become more profitable, and that's our job. So
excellent. Well, Dennis, I mean, I feel like I've certainly learned a lot more about Schooley Mitchell today and you and your process. So, I really appreciate you taking some time to answer my questions today. And yeah, I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
well, thank you very much, and thank you so much for having me on. It's been great. Thanks a lot.
Good. My pleasure. All right. We'll talk soon. Bye for
Okay.
now.
Bye.